So, currently our farm is producing approximately 20,000 liters per day, with some fluctuations, and around 500 lactating cows.
This current diet is a single diet. We operate with a single feeding strategy. So, we currently implement a nutritional management operation with 3 feedings per day. Our herd's average dry matter intake today is 23.7. That is our current intake. Regarding fat content, our annual average for the 12-month period closing 2024 to 2025 was 3.9% fat and 3.42% protein. We slightly reduced the starch content to try to offer a bit more comfort to the animals and avoid negatively affecting performance. We felt the impact, although less intensely.
Jesse sent a message saying that he won't be making videos anymore because you haven't subscribed to the Santa Fe channel. So subscribe now, and he will continue recording on farms around the world.
Well, here we are in our management area. This is the exit from the milking parlor. The animals come out from milking here. Marcos is our team member responsible for animal health and reproduction. He carries out all this work. Vinicius currently assists Marcos and is a veterinary medicine student. He is actually Marcos' son, a veterinary student, and also serves as our milking supervisor. So, there is a strong integration of families. We can see sons following in the footsteps of their fathers. We provide opportunities, and they continue working across different areas. These animals here are already being prepared and scheduled for embryo transfer. In fact, for oocyte collection, which is scheduled for next week. Currently, the farm does not separate groups by production level. We are divided into 5 groups, primarily based on animal size. Grouping is mostly by body size, although there is some pre-selection. At this point, we do not have a specific transition group. This is especially true for the postpartum stage. The prepartum animals are housed right here in front. We do have a postpartum group, though there are also some other animals in higher sections. Our prepartum animals today are housed in a freestall system. Once calving begins, the cow is transferred to the maternity pen. Afterward, the cows are directed to a holding group so they can be milked for colostrum, and the heifer calves are taken to a waiting pen where they immediately receive their first treatments, including navel disinfection and colostrum feeding. Currently, we are operating with an average of 476 lactating animals. Our production average is 39.3 liters. We have a suboptimal average days in milk, which has slightly penalized our overall average. As of now, we are producing 39.3 liters with an average DIM of 215. Feed efficiency is at 1.66. As we approach the winter period, around August or September, we reach up to 1.72 in feed efficiency. The current average dry matter intake of the herd is 23.7. That is our benchmark consumption. This group located at the front is a specific transition group, positioned ahead of the prepartum animals. Its placement allows for easier access, loading, and transport of animals to that area. They are mobilized from here to our handling center. The positioning enables us to move them efficiently for any procedures required during the postpartum phase. Their assessment is conducted further along in the operational line. This layout allows everyone to keep a close watch on these animals so that any necessary intervention can be carried out in a timely manner. Regarding our groups, as I mentioned, we do not manage them based on production. We work with a single diet. Our grouping is more focused on somatic cell count. We have one group based on SCC and others based on cow size. Primiparous cows are kept together, and second lactation cows are in separate groups. This setup greatly optimizes, given that we are consistently operating with high stocking density, the ambient conditions and behavioral comfort of the cows. It helps reduce disturbances and prevents dry matter intake from being negatively affected, ultimately improving feed efficiency. With this single diet, we also operate with a single feeding time. Our nutritional management system is based on 3 daily feed deliveries. A single mixer wagon typically serves 2 groups. The only metric we monitor daily is dry matter intake. We set feed refusal at a maximum of 2 to 3%. Every morning, this is measured. Unlike many farms where feeding occurs in the morning, here, lactation feeding begins at noon. So, at midday, this first group is sent to milking, 10 minutes before 12 o'clock. We then proceed to remove all excess feed left for 24 hours. This leftover material is pushed aside and later collected to be used for feeding our Angus cattle, which are finished here using feed leftovers. Once that group is cleared, we provide the fresh ration. The groups are generally numbered based on their milking order. So, this is Group 1, the first group to enter the milking parlor. This group mostly consists of second lactation cows. To complete the group, we sometimes include smaller framed multiparous cows. Here, basically, you can observe, by looking at the facilities, that some curtains and enclosures, especially the deflectors, are noticeably cleaner. On the opposite side, you will see that we are undergoing structural expansion or making some necessary adjustments. We had structural issues in the older parts of the barn. Last year, we struggled somewhat with the heat, even within an enclosed environment, but since September, with the expansion, we have implemented several changes. We had to extend the facilities. Previously, the milking parlor was located outside the cross. It was not within the negative pressure structure. As a result, when we opened the structure and extended it slightly, we experienced a loss in operational efficiency. This impacted the airflow and heat removal within the barn. Some groups were negatively affected. We experienced a decline in reproductive performance, and we are still feeling the effects of production losses. In the past 3 years, we had never seen average production drop below 40 liters during this same period. But this year, we experienced that. It was due to the expansion, an issue we had anticipated, but one that we had to face eventually. From a nutritional standpoint, we tried to hold the line a bit more. We loosened the diet structure, increasing fiber levels, particularly forage and DF. We also focused a bit more on the lipid structure, specifically the ether extract of the diet. We reduced starch content slightly to try to improve cow comfort without severely impacting performance. The effects were felt to a lesser degree, but they were still noticeable. We experienced a rapid loss. We dropped 2,000 liters of milk in a single blow right after those changes. We lost 3 liters in average yield, but then started recovering. Even today, we are still down by 1 liter from our historical average. With winter approaching and the construction projects nearing completion, feed efficiency is returning. We reached a feed efficiency of 1.53, and now it is rising again. In recent days, we've seen it climb to 1.74. Since we always aim for operational simplicity, we avoid major changes to our daily routines, making it easier for the team to follow protocols effectively. We have always opted for a single diet, and also to avoid frequent reshuffling of animal groups. Even when cows move between groups, it does not cause nutritional stress. Additionally, we face some limitations in terms of ingredient availability. Today, our diet is composed of 50% forage. 50% of the dry matter is forage, and 100% of that forage is corn silage. The farm always prefers to work with resources produced internally. This is both for cost efficiency and to maintain control over all operational processes. We know that the silage we produce here is our responsibility, and we avoid outsourcing. For example, buying hay, long fiber, or pre-dried forage. Besides being more expensive, such materials are often of unknown quality. In fact, 5 years ago, we used to work with externally sourced materials that were not of good quality, and this resulted in production variability. Here, we are able to maintain a more stable ration throughout the year, so our diet is essentially based on corn silage. We also use ground corn, cornmeal, cottonseed, soybean hulls, soybean meal, and our buffered mineral premixes. Since we operate with a single diet, all animal groups receive the same formulation, including methionine supplementation for all groups. Because we do not have a designated immediate postpartum group, we chose to include methionine across the board, focusing particularly on milk solids. We have been implementing this strategy for 1.5 years. Our annual average fat content, closing the 2024 to 2025 period, was 3.9% fat and 3.42% protein. Our somatic cell count last year closed at 280, and this past month it registered at 313. There are some challenges, particularly our increasing DIM, which has resulted in some efficiency loss. Since we do not have another source of long fiber, we always work backwards. We start with the silage and monitor everything to meet the goals we've set for our diet. So, we monitor it closely because we already know the nutritional profile we want to achieve based on the NDF and starch levels in our silage. Currently, the silage has 35% starch and 39.7% NDF. We aim for digestibility as well, and we control that using the Penn State particle separator. Right now, we work with a 14% screen size on the mixer to optimize intake. With a slightly bulkier diet, we can meet our fiber target. This reflects in our fat profile and also in animal health. Based on collar data and health metrics, we have an average rumination rate of around 560 minutes per day. To maintain this, and considering that we operate on leased land, we try not to change our diet profiles too drastically. That's why we conduct weekly monitoring. Every Thursday, our feeding and animal welfare supervisor is responsible for analyzing dry matter content of all ingredients, the total diet, and especially corn silage. He also performs Penn State separation, and we adjust the ration accordingly as needed. As you will see when we visit our silage panel, we use wide silage bunkers. Since silage is our only source of fiber, accounting for 50% of the diet, we cannot afford mistakes in the fermentation process. We aim for a stable and cool material because the fresher the diet, the better the intake. Given that we use a single feeding schedule, this feed stays exposed for 24 hours, so yeast control is critical to ensure consistent dry matter intake. Sometimes, we work right at the fiber threshold to maintain rumen health without compromising compaction. We have a team responsible for both bedding and feed management. They not only push feed forward, but also pull it away from the walls, preventing excessive compaction. If the feed compacts too much, it may over-ferment and heat up, making it harder for cows to consume. So, the team pushes feed away from the walls, ensuring it is well distributed. This feed pushing and wall clearance is done 6 times per day. It's the same team responsible for moving cows to the milking parlor. The rest of the team handles bedding maintenance, including cleaning and disinfection. 2 years ago, the farm decided to stop using pine shavings for bedding. We had always faced difficulties with this material, especially with dry matter and cleanliness. It often arrived highly contaminated, making it hard to manage with lime. Lime in contact with damp pine shavings causes the bedding to harden, which can result in hock injuries and discomfort for the cows. So, 2 years ago, the farm made the decision to switch. It was an expensive resource and not providing good results. Instead, we invested in a manure separator and began testing the dry matter of the separated material. I'll show you that stage later on. Today, our bedding comes from separated cow manure. After going through the separator, we treat the material and incubate it for 4 days before applying it. It is a very light and tender fiber, which dries quickly. The material leaves our separator with 32% dry matter, and, after all the processing steps we apply using quicklime, it reaches 38% dry matter. It results in clean, sterilized bedding that reaches temperatures of 80 degrees Celsius during treatment and becomes an inert material ready for reuse. This material exits the system and returns to be used for cow comfort. That is always our choice. Soft bedding that does not injure the cows and encourages them to lie down. That is what we aim for here, particularly regarding mammary gland health. We notice this in our daily evaluations. For instance, when animals come back from the feed bunk, many lie down right away, indicating that they are achieving the expected level of comfort. This translates directly into greater productivity and efficiency for the animals. We truly believe that animal welfare is fundamental to achieving results. Unlike sand, which is inert and more difficult to manage, we work with living or biological bedding. It requires more stringent control. Since our bedding is replenished more frequently, we maintain a slightly lower bedding depth. Replenishment is done twice per week. Controlling dry matter is essential. If we fail to hit that 38% mark, or if the material enters the barn without sufficient incubation time, or without proper reaction with the lime, we can have mastitis outbreaks in the milking parlor. So, when working with living bedding, extreme care must be taken. We need to monitor the dry matter entering the system, ensure that the material has truly undergone deactivation with lime, and that the lime has been thoroughly mixed. Process control is crucial. If everything is done correctly, we will not have problems. But the fact remains, any mistake in this process can be costly.
It's also important to point out that the organic bedding we use today is derived from treated manure, collected right here on the farm. Adjacent to us is a concrete alley where manure naturally accumulates when voided by the cows. That material is captured, treated, and reused as bedding. All of our pipelines and equipment are designed to handle manure. Before switching to this organic bedding system, we used sawdust. However, we faced several challenges with it. Larger pieces of wood or branches were often mixed in, which caused damage to the pumping system and clogging in the separator, precisely because it was a material sourced externally. We have never used sand bedding, but we know producers who do. It's also an external material and requires a more robust infrastructure. We've seen producers needing sand recovery yards and experiencing increased wear on pumps. With this current system, we were able to bring comfort and health to the cows, while also reducing costs. The material is sourced from within the farm, so there are no logistics involved. We found that it fits our system very well. It's not easy. This is still a developing practice in Brazil. Not every farm that has tried it has succeeded or even intends to try it. But we believe it will work. This is the result of extensive work and research over time, always monitoring and seeking solutions to make it work. There is no single correct model. Each case requires its own approach. For us, this is an economical and efficient system that fulfills the ultimate goal, delivering quality to the cows. This group is currently under renovation due to floor seepage issues. We decided to remove all the bedding, increase the bedding height, and later refill it with treated organic matter so the cows can return. Here you can clearly see the natural ground level without bedding, nearly at the same height as the concrete floor. This space will be filled with treated cow manure. The barn measures approximately 120 by 120 meters. However, part of that area is allocated to the milking parlor and handling area. The largest groups are housed in 120-meter-long corridors, and the tunnel is also 120 meters long. Our milking parlor is currently housed inside the cross. We also observe the spacing between stalls. Currently, we use a stall width of 1.3 meters and a length of 1.9 meters.
We've already discussed the animals, nutrition, how this milk is produced, and the comfort provided to the herd. Now we've arrived at the milking parlor, where we verify whether all upstream processes are truly aligned. Here, just as importantly, we take all necessary steps to ensure proper extraction, maximize animal comfort, stimulate milk letdown, and achieve high flow rates. We recently opted to use brushes during the pre-milking routine for a period of 3 months, temporarily abandoning cloths, aiming to increase the number of cows milked per hour. Despite some initial adaptation challenges and team training issues, we have now returned to our ideal flow metrics: 0 to 15 seconds, 15 to 30, and 30 to 60 seconds. We are recovering our performance. With the brush system, we managed to increase throughput by about 15 cows per hour. The team is now fully adapted. Just yesterday, we had a refresher training focused on fine-tuning pre-dipping and cow stimulation protocols. When it comes to animal health, welfare, and milking management, we monitor everything through our dashboard. Most treatments involve postpartum cows, those transitioning out of the colostrum phase and into regular milk production. We have one cow currently under treatment due to a displacement issue diagnosed 3 days ago. Our clinical mastitis rate is very low. In fact, today, we have no cows under treatment. The farm operates with 3 milking shifts. Due to optimized throughput and the increasing number of cows per hour, as well as the team's efficiency, we now complete each shift in 5 hours. As Renato mentioned, we still have room for growth within the current system without modifying our existing infrastructure. We work with 3 milking sessions and 4 teams, 3 active and 1 resting. This is slightly different from the traditional rotation used on most farms. Our system works on a rotating schedule. Every 4th shift, the team rests. For example, those who work the morning shift rest and then return to work the afternoon shift. After another 4 shifts, they move to the night shift. Once they complete 4 night shifts, they receive 2 days off. We adopted this model to improve the comfort and well-being of our milkers so that when they are working, they are focused and rested, minimizing stress and fatigue. This positively impacts mammary gland health. I want to emphasize that none of this would be possible without our team. The results and growth of this farm are thanks to our dedicated collaborators who give their all, even when facing daily challenges. I'll name a few supervisors who represent our entire workforce. Marcos, our most senior employee, here for 23 years, leading reproductive management, the heart of the farm. His sons, and Vinicius, head of milking operations. Rodrigo, responsible for environmental control and nutrition. Ferdinando, who manages the calf barn. These leaders and their teams are the foundation of everything we achieve. The Mazer de Carvalho family provides opportunities for other families, many of whom now have generations working here. Some of their children are studying veterinary medicine, planning to carry forward the work their parents began. That continuity is what truly makes us proud.